What's up, guys? It's Chaos, and today we are continuing with the Chaos Carbine, and I'm going to be showing you how I install the Magpul CTR Stock, the Mako pistol grip, and the Geissele Super Dynamic 3-gun trigger. I won't be getting into too much detail about the trigger because Geissele has done some awesome tutorials, so I'm just going to quickly go over that with you guys. Of course, I also have the tools that I'm going to be using laid out there in front of you. You'll see how I use them as the video progresses. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take this M4 style stock off. And that's really simple. Basically, you would move the stock with this lever like this. And all you have to do really is kind of pull like this and then pull rearward and it just pops right off. You can, pull the whole thing if you'd like. It's under spring tension, but I feel like using some leverage there usually works really well. The next thing we need to do is put this Magpul CTR stock on. And when you initially put it on, it hits this internal pin. So what you need to do is pull down on these tabs, basically the bottom of the pin, and slide it forward. And I had some issues with it, so I grabbed this welding clamp, and basically I just, let me line it up here, go ahead and clamp it down real tight on both sides of that pin and pull down, and then you can slide it over that ledge basically where it has to go. Let me undo this. That's a little violent, but so as you can see, there it is, installed. Really simple. Magpul CTR stock installed. Next, we're going to take a look at this pistol grip. As you can see down in the bottom of the pistol grip, there is an Allen screw. And I actually could not find an Allen key in my tools that was long enough to reach down in there and give me enough leverage. So I've got a little ghetto way to break that loose, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so to get this off, you basically need to break that Allen screw loose. And because this only comes out this far and I can't really get enough leverage on it, I'm going to do it a little ghetto and use some pliers. And I knocked my flashlight off the table. Okay, there you can see it broke it loose. It's not under a whole lot of tension because I took it off once already. Now you need to be careful when taking this off because the safety detent is under spring pressure, I believe, and there are some things that you need to be careful of when pulling this off. So just slowly back it off. As you can see, it's coming loose there. Nothing on this side. However, when you flip it over, you can see the safety spring, detent spring right here. So that's what it looks like right there. It's loose. It's not all the way off, but there's the safety spring, safety detent spring right there. So I'm going to continue taking this off. Okay, so continuing along, this is eventually going to pop loose. There it is. And there is the spring that goes in here. Just want to make sure I didn't lose anything. Alright, so once you get the grip off, you've got the screw that went in there and the safety detent spring right here. That goes up in this hole right here. And you basically just need to reverse the process with the other grip. Just to show you what it's going to look like, much like that. Alright, so with this Mako grip, you can see here the bottom plate is actually locked in right here, so you kind of need to basically do that probably a little more gently so you can get that in and then you can install the screw inside there. Okay, so there it is installed. It was actually more of a pain in the butt than I thought it would be, but I did eventually get it. I kind of wish there was a flathead screw. I could probably swap that out, but I just was using the one that came with the lower. So far we've got the Magpul CTR and the Mako pistol grip installed. Next we're going to move on to the Geissele Super Dynamic 3-gun trigger. Alright, so here we have the instructions and the parts that come in it. This is actually a little vial of grease, some high quality grease that Geissele recommends. This is a slave pin that what you do is you put it in here and then you can line it up in the receiver. and basically punch this out while you're putting this pin in from the side. It makes things a lot easier. And then the hammer. As you can see, this is actually a flat blade trigger as opposed to a curve like the stock one, and this is actually, in my opinion, a great way to have the feel of a much shorter reset as opposed to the curve. Alright, so this is the point at which I'm going to kind of point you guys to your instruction sheets or some online walkthroughs on how to replace the trigger with this particular Geissele unit, simply because I don't want to pretend to be an expert. I will stop at each portion and show you what it looks like, but I don't want to give a complete walkthrough without being an expert myself. Okay, so first what you need to do is take the tension off the hammer and then remove the hammer via this pin here, and then you can take out the actual trigger portion via this pin here. Okay, so here it is. The stock pin has been pulled out, and right now all that's holding the hammer in is this punch. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that and kind of work it out of there. And there it goes. Let up tension, and there is the broken hammer and the pin. So you can see what it looks like in there without the hammer. That's the actual trigger portion there. And we're going to go ahead and pull that out. So I'm just going to demonstrate how this works. You put the punch right on top of the pin and tap. You do not want to hammer this in, or out rather. You do not want to hammer this hard. You don't need to use a lot of force. You just kind of tap it out. And now I have to pick it up a little bit so that it's not hitting. Continue. Some guys use a block. I'm just using my hands. You can hear it just dropped out. Okay, so what I need to do is the same thing I did with the hammer and work this back out. Okay, so that is under spring tension. There's part of it, and we'll go ahead and see if I can slide this out of here without taking the safety out. There we go. Just had to rock and roll it a little bit, and there is the stock trigger. Now let's go ahead and compare that to the Geissele unit. Obviously this is polymer, this is metal, this is a much higher quality trigger. Just to give you a real quick look at what this actually looks like without the trigger in it, there you go. You can see no trigger. Safety is still in, you don't have to take it out for this particular install, but yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, so as you can see here, I've replaced the trigger pin with the slave pin, and I'm going to go ahead and insert this in the lower. Okay, so that was a challenge. There's the flat trigger installed. You can see down inside there. Let me grab the light for you. There you go. You can see it. That's how it works. And yeah, there it is. Moving on to the hammer. Alright, so there it is with the hammer installed. I actually had to get help because it was so difficult to hold in place. This portion right here is actually kind of sharp, and I'm a bit of a sissy. So I got somebody to tap the pin in for me, and yeah, now it is good to go. Alright guys, so there it is, the completed Chaos Carbine lower. Magpul CTR Stock, Mako grip, and the Geissele Super Dynamic 3-gun trigger. I'm going to end this with some shots of me shooting a gun with that particular trigger down in West Virginia. Thanks for watching, guys.
Always, always.